Hey guys, in this video I'm going to explain a theory by Adam Smith, and he believed in the division of labour and specialisation. So the division of labour is where each worker performs a single task when in the process of making a good or a service. So to give an example, when you go to a restaurant, each worker has a role and they carry out one task. So someone takes your orders, someone makes your drinks, someone cooks, someone delivers the food. So each task is allocated to one person only. However, rather than using a restaurant as an example, Adam Smith used a pin factory. He found that workmen who weren't educated in making a pin could only just about make one pin a day. However, if we use the division of labour and we break down the process into different stages, so someone straightens the wire, someone cuts the wire, someone polishes the wire, then he found that 10 workers could make over 45,000 pins in just one day, which is a crazy difference compared to just one man being able to just about make one. Adam Smith then believed that using the division of labour could then increase productivity, and he believed this for three main reasons. The first being that it's more time efficient, so you don't actually have to switch between the roles that you're doing. So if you're currently in the room where you are drawing the pin, you don't have to walk to the next room, which could be down the corridor, to then cut it. So again, it's quicker and it's more time efficient. The next reason is that we can make more use of the machinery that we have. So again, if one person is operating the one machine and not switching between the day, it's quicker. And also, if you use the machines well, then you can actually produce so many more materials and so many more products using that one machine compared to a worker. And finally, it will lead to specialisation, which I will be talking more about later on in this video. But for now, I'm going to be explaining the advantages and disadvantages of using this method. So the advantages, as we have already said, it will increase productivity and efficiency, but it will also decrease the unit costs, so the amount of money that it costs to make a product. And this is because if workers are producing the product quicker, they don't have to pay them for as much time. If the workers can also make loads of products, then they can order in more materials. And if you order a big bulk of materials, you can get discount, and this is called economies of scale. So all of this can lead to higher profits. This method is also very good for the economy, and this is because if there is excess, so there's a surplus of these goods, the businesses can then export these to other countries. And these exports are part of the circular flow of income, so these are an injection into the economy, which basically means that the more of these we get, the higher the economic growth, but I will be explaining more about that in a separate video. However, with advantages always comes disadvantages. The main disadvantage is that workers will get bored. So if you're at work and all you're doing is emails, or you've just got meetings all day, the time is going to drag and you're going to get bored, and as you get bored, you are going to become unproductive. And this is because as you are doing your job, you can't really be bothered to do it, so you kind of delay it and you do it as slowly as you can. Also, if you are trained in that one thing, you cannot multi-skill. So if someone calls in sick, you are not trained and you're not able to do their job. So for example, if you are in the pottery making industry, so you make plant pots, and the person who actually forms and makes the shape of the pots aren't in, then the people who are on the next line of the process of the glazing, the painting, the putting onto the stores, they cannot do their job until that is done. And because they don't know how to do it, it just holds up the production line and it causes delays. And finally, to finish, I'm going to be explaining about specialisation. So specialisation is very similar to division of labour, but rather than it being about the process of dividing the tasks up, it's about the actual workers who are working and doing the tasks. So it's where a worker does one or a small range of tasks. However, specialisation can also be done by countries, so countries can just specialise in one or a small range of goods and services. For example, in China they focus on the manufacturing sector, in the UK they focus on the finance, and in the USA they focus on aerospace. But for specialisation in terms of workers, the advantages and disadvantages are very similar to the division of labour, so you can just use them. But another advantage for the workers is that they can gain higher skills, so they could potentially ask for higher wages if they are the only people who have those valuable skills. This is similar for the advantages of specialisation for countries, so again, they can produce more, they can get economies of scale. They can also gain a comparative advantage, which I will explain in a further video. However, there are quite a few disadvantages for countries specialising. So the first is that they can over-specialise. So if they are only specialising in this one or two things and the world price drops, then their revenue will drop, the amount of money going into the economy will drop, and that can just lead to repercussions. So an example of this is in the 1950s, North England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland all suffered high unemployment. And this is because the traditional heavy industries such as the mining and the coaling all dropped because the imports became cheaper. And as the industry began to close and shut, this led to a mass structural unemployment because all of these workers who have been working in this industry for years didn't have any other skills, so they couldn't just switch and work in an office job because they didn't have the skills that they needed. Although another disadvantage is the over-extraction of the natural resources. So if your industry is all about oil, you can only get a certain amount of oil within a certain space of time, so this may actually run out or it just may be reduced, which again will cause an issue if they can't keep selling and producing this. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching!